This is footage of a commercial development in the middle of Salt Lake City. Something that may strike you about this development is the sheer amount of parking. In fact, there is more parking area than the actual space the offices take up. Why does Salt Lake City and so many American cities look this way and devote all this land to the storage of private vehicles? Why do we have policies that require so much parking, huge road setbacks, and a waste of prime urban land? Were these policies created by big oil and automotive companies to encourage driving? Or maybe parking minimums were made so teenagers in Ford Mustangs could do donuts. I don't feel like explaining the entire law, so I encourage you watch Climantown's video, which is very interesting. In short, the real reason these now archaic laws were created was because cities were inundated with cars during the post-World War II era. Parking and driving in cities was horrible at the time. Citizens were outraged that they had no place to store their private vehicles. City planners then guessed the proper amount of parking spaces required for each land use, and these guesses were then became the parking minimums. All developments had to follow these strict parking minimum rules. That is why when you look at America, Canada, or other car-dependent areas on Google Maps, you will see vast swaths of lands dedicated solely to car parking. So that is why so much of our urban land is devoted to car parking. However, are parking minimums really a bad thing? I would argue so. Parking minimums spread development out and perpetuate the problem of car dependency. Parking minimums are a band-aid solution to shitty land use planning. It shows that people can't get around without cars, which is a problem all too common throughout America. Parking minimums are just one of many requirements developers have to follow when creating a new property. I think we should remove parking minimums because they perpetuate the problem of car dependency and are often underutilized. We should leave it up to the developer to add or remove parking spaces. More importantly, we should update other zoning laws that create the problem of car dependency, namely increasing density in prime urban areas by making slight alterations to the single-family zoning laws. The only solution to traffic is viable alternatives in transportation. However, in less dense areas, it is hard to justify good transit projects like bus rapid transit, metro projects, commuter rail, etc. However, it's often difficult for local governments to make alterations to the zoning code because of a problem I know all too well called nimbyism. Nimbyism is a term that means not in my backyard. Nimbys believe that they should not build transit projects or add accessory dwelling units, often citing the problem of the character of the neighborhood and stating that any new development, especially residential, will hurt the character of their neighborhood. However, more often than not, the reason NIMBYs shoot down new projects is because it will hurt the housing prices. I believe that it is selfish to advocate against housing projects because you are denying the home of another person. Why should local governments listen to NIMBYs? Why should they care if few select residents are against a new housing project, when many other people in the city are struggling to pay rent because of the high demand? Some NIMBYs are crazy and will go as far as the destruction of other properties to keep housing prices high in their neighborhood. For example, in my hometown of San Diego, police suspected that a single-family housing advocate committed arson against a Mission Hills property owner who tried to build a business in a district they wanted for homes only. NIMBYs are so against new development that they will go as far as to burn down other buildings. You will see it in cities all across America, from the Washington-Arlington metro area to my hometown of San Diego, and especially in the Bay Area. NIMBYs shoot down new housing projects all the time. This is why many cities' zoning codes remain the same, with the same parking minimums, excessive setback requirements, and more. These zoning requirements also are financially unsustainable for the cities in the long run because they promote urban sprawl, which increases the area the city has to service. Urban 3 has some very interesting maps depicting the financial sustainability of certain areas of cities that are more dense versus the more spread out and suburban areas. I encourage everyone to attend local meetings regarding the issue of urban planning and zoning. Honestly, I don't even go to these, but I think it's important to stay informed and educated on the topic as well.